just a word, but the way we live to our beloved nation, all that we will give. We bend but won't break this nation's backbone. We're stronger united, and that we've shown.
Boom, boom. Ooh, a game crafted by the developer. We'll be starting in just a moment. Just gonna let it run through the intro, let people show up, and then we probably won't stream too long tonight. It is a work night. I don't want to stay up too late, so. Hey Hauser, how you doing? I assume we will stream through the rest of the attack on, or the beginning, I guess we haven't even gotten off we're just getting off the decks of the attack on the northern task force of 3 carriers, and then maybe if there's an air battle defending the Yorktown from the Vals that I assume will be attacking us. I think we successfully prevented the enemy torpedo bombers from attacking the Yorktown because of those 9 fighters that gave their lives and all got wiped out. It looked like the Kates all dropped their torpedoes to assume evasive action from that strike off of the Tsukaki or Sukaki. Oh my god, I'm blanking. Was it Shokaku? Suikaku, right? But yeah, so I assume we'll avoid hopefully sinking, but if we get hit by 20 torpedo or 20 dive bombers, it could still do some real damage to the deck and whatnot. I'm still not sure if we've only sunk 1 enemy carrier from the Kiributai or if we sunk 2. We haven't seen the one that was ablaze and low in the water, but given this game's propensity for those carriers to survive, it would not shock me at all if she's, adrift somewhere and we will only get credit for a damage. I think that's one issue with the scoring in the game. I think if an enemy takes too much damage, that it's basically a burned out Hulk that should count as a kill, because the way that Midway worked is I don't think any of the Japanese carriers sank from bomb damage. I think they were all scuttled by the Japanese because they essentially were not able to be recovered and brought back to Japan because they were so badly damaged, but they didn't like physically sink, I don't think, until the Japanese destroyers torpedoed them. But it is Monday's President's Day. I still work. Most people in the US work on President's Day. Schools might be closed, although our daycare is open. My buddy who works for a wealth management company gets the day off because the markets are closed. But it's like a bank holiday, if you will, where like finance people get the day off and everybody else has to work usually. Dive bombers for the Americans are better than the torpedo bombers in terms of like mission kills. But if you don't damage the hull, it's hard to sink them. The thing is, this game really doesn't represent the fact that if you completely burn out the hull so that it is just a steel coffin, essentially, with air in it that is buoyant, the enemy's going to scuttle their ship rather than let you capture it when they retreat. So, like, that should count as a kill, but it doesn't, so. WSG? I don't know what that means. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, what's good? You know, so it's just it was a good weekend. All right. Are we still... I just want to double check something before I do our whole intro spiel. The one thing I'm a little confused about is why their dive bombers are heading way northwest, because this is the last time we spotted them was they were heading this direction, which, like, why? I guess maybe they're trying to get away from our fighters, but I don't know if that means I should scramble or not. So we've got 40 bombers here, and then 18 here. So we've got 58 aircraft inbound to the other carriers. The enemy does have a cap, so we may get shot up pretty good. I guess we'll see. I suppose the hope is that my own fighters disrupted their combat air patrol enough to get our boys in. What is our air wing? What do our air wings look like? Yorktown's out of fighters. She's got 21 dive bombers and 10 torpedo bombers left. And then we've got 41 fighters, 35 dive bombers, and 23 torpedo bombers left on the TF-16. Okay. All right. Maybe I should send some fighters out that way. One, they'll intercept any raids coming. And two, they'll act as a bit of a escort, maybe? I probably should have done that before they got airborne, but could send like 10 fighters out west. I don't know, I'm a little bit nervous. All right, let's start. Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we will be returning to Task Force Admiral, a new-ish early access real-time World War II simulation that looks at the Pacific carrier battles of 1941 and 42 from the point of view of the Americans. We're playing a hypothetical midway battle, which includes 3 additional Japanese carriers, including the Junyo, and I guess a sister ship of the Shoho, because you'd assume she was sunk at Coral Sea. Also the Tsukaki. Oh my God, how do you pronounce it? Zukaku is here as well. So again, definitely alt history. But then we've also got the Kidobutai with the 4 carriers that were historically at Midway. We have sunk at least one of them, crippled at least 2 more, maybe sunk one of those other 2. So we've sunk 1 to 2 enemy carriers in the Kidobutai, crippled the rest, and we have not touched these 3 additional carriers, including the Junyo, a light carrier, and the Big Z. And we are launching a strike on them now. However, we are basically out of fighters, with the exception of 30 or 40 or so on the Hornet and Enterprise, which is all we have left to defend the fleet, as the enemy potentially could muster over 120 aircraft to strike us again. So I've been remiss to use my fighters. All of Yorktown's fighters have been shot down. We're trying to get a raid in on these 3 fresh carriers, but the risk obviously is that, well, the enemy may have a cap that can deal a bloody nose to us. I don't know. We just fought a battle against them where we sent 9 fighters and they kind of interdicted an enemy raid, which could be coming our way. But we've got 58 fire bombers and torpedo bombers going in unescorted toward this carrier group. So I actually think what we're going to do, because I believe all 9 of these fighters have been shot down now that we had over that way. So I think what we're going to do, yeah, they're all dead. I think maybe what we'll do here is, can we do... I guess let's just do a scramble off of one of our ships here. Get the fighters airborne, and then maybe they'll get directed in on the enemy. Who's got the most? I want to leave some fighters back. Enterprise has... Does it tell me here? No. All right, got to go to the flight deck. Enterprise has 26. Or is it 34? Fighters. Hornet has... Oh, they both have considerable. 8 out of 8, or 8 out of 25. So... No, I'm reading this wrong. That's more fighters than... Oh my god. Maybe I should just look here. So Hornet has 21 pilots and 21 aircraft. Enterprise has 16 pilots and 14. Or no, sorry, 20. This doesn't add up then. Why? How do we have... It said we had 41 fighters. And this says VF6 has 22. And this says VF8 has 21. So that's more than it said we had available. Unless maybe some are... airborne? This still says there are 2 fighters on the Yorktown, which doesn't mesh with my... Could some be in storage? I don't really know how this works. I don't know. All I know is I'm going to scramble, I guess, the Hornet fighters. Get them airborne. Maybe they can come join the... And then for Enterprise, I think what we will do is we can order all of the fighters to the flight deck. Oh, this is Yorktown. She's retrieving aircraft. All right. What are these? Hangar under prep. Okay, so these are the fighters that are mission ready, and these are the ones that are under prep. Okay. Did I not scramble the right? Okay. So we scrambled off of Enterprise, not Hornet. In any event, how many aircraft is that going to put in the air? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So maybe that actually was just saying that the 41 aircraft are the combat ready aircraft and the other ones are like they've got damage or something. I'm not really sure. You can see these boys are going to be getting ready, getting off the deck. We do know the enemy has over 20 dive bombers in the air that we had sort of interdicted with 9 fighters that swooped in on an attack that was being prepared by Big Z against us. I don't know why I keep calling him Big Z, you know, the Big E equivalent, I guess. And we had forced, I believe, the Kates of their torpedo bomber squadron to drop their ordnance so they won't be coming at us right away. But the 9 fighters or so that we sent that way were all shot down. So... I'm mainly putting these guys up, 1, in the event the enemy does come at us, 2, in the event that we need to try to send these guys off to support the air attack that is forming against the 3 carriers to the north. These guys are all climbing to altitude. They've just left the carriers, and I'm a little nervous about having sent 48 or 58 of my, basically all my remaining striking power out against enemy carriers who I have no escorts with these guys. So Kaku. They had spare aircraft in storage. I know they had aircraft in storage. I don't know how long it took them to, like, in a combat scenario, could you get them out of storage? Also, I just haven't usually seen the discrepancy. Like, I don't know how long it takes to prep them. I haven't seen the discrepancy of, hey, the fleet defense says you've got this many aircraft, but actually you've got this many. Yorktown, meanwhile, is retrieving her recent strike, which went against the Kidabutai. Yorktown still has a decent strike package of 20 plus dive bombers and 8 or so torpedo bombers, but she doesn't have any fighters left. But you can see she's retrieving aircraft right now. We should at least order the fighters to the flight deck of Hornet, I think. Oh, so Hornet's fighters are all ready. Okay, so she's got the bulk. So TBDs are in storage, I guess. I just wish I knew what you could you do anything with them? All right, so 2, 4, 5, 6. 7th is coming up now. I think they've moved. I wish with the fighters you could put them forward a bit, because they probably don't need the whole flight deck to take off. Then you could use 2 hangars, or even be using the forward hangar and be moving them back. Although I guess then you'd have to wait for this hangar to come back up. I don't know if it'd actually be faster. Maybe I should just trust that they're doing things efficiently. Sending the torpedo bombers alone. I mean, I've sent the torpedo and dive bombers alone. That's my concern. These guys are still climbing to altitude. Where are we at on the map? Okay, so the smaller raid is actually ahead of the bigger raid, which could be good. If they truly have 12 plus fighter aircraft, maybe these are the Kates. Maybe they're going into land because these are the guys that we... Can we hope that they're the Kates? They're definitely not zeros. So these are the guys we forced to drop their stores so they aren't going to go and bomb us, which is good. We definitely damaged the torpedo bombers. I think we shot down 6 or 7 of them. I don't think we destroyed any of the dive bombers. So this carrier is going to be stuck retrieving aircraft for a bit while our bombers close in. It looks like they're also retrieving aircraft on this one, on this, the Shoho class or whatever. There's 1-0 there. There's a torpedo bomber. So maybe they actually launched more attack. Maybe we could catch these guys in between. Maybe they won't have a full combat air patrol. The concern is Junyo. But again, I don't know how many the enemy has left either, because they did launch a strike from these guys against our main fleet, which we did engage with in air combat. I don't know how, you know, we claimed 20 plus aircraft shot down. I don't know how real that is. But it would be fun if we hit them with a flight deck full of aircraft. Have the added benefit of destroying aircraft on the deck. It is so weird. You know, I know this obviously is what, 80-year-old history, but seeing carriers without an island, just, it looks so weird to me. Such an American-centric view, I suppose, but still. I love that they've got the barrier up there to protect the planes in the front. It's a nice little detail. So yeah, the enemy's going to be stuck at least for the next 40, 50 minutes or so. Even if they want to attack again, they're going to have to respot these planes. So while the dive bombers could go in, they could hit us with 20 or so dive bombers. I haven't seen much activity on Junyo. I don't know if she's... Nothing on in her hangar deck. That's a little cheating, but I don't know what happened to her aircraft. If they all got lost in the attack on me earlier. In any event, our planes are underway. We're up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8. 12-ish aircraft. Maybe we've got more than I think. I don't know. So we've got 2 F4Fs in storage, 3 SBDs, 4 SBDs, and 2 F4Fs. It looks like they're going to try and get everybody up because not all the aircraft for Enterprise were ready at the time I gave the scramble order, but you can see these guys are still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus the guys already on deck. Has Yorktown recovered all of her carrier, her aviation? No, they're still landing on Yorktown. All right. These are the 20 dive bombers. Are they going to come attack me or are they going to try and land? That's the question. Did we disrupt their attack enough? I would assume they will try to come at me. I'm assuming maybe they flew north to try and avoid my fighters as like a safety precaution. They've got at least 6 of Zeros flying top cover for them. And then I can see 8 dive bombers in front, 12 behind. I'm assuming these are all dive bombers. Maybe we should pause and take a look. So 6 fighters in top cover. Oh no, so some of these are torpedo bombers. Or no, they're dive bombers. What am I talking about? All right, so those Zeros could pose a problem for us because if our formation flies past theirs, which is likely, they will peel off to attack us. All right. I would assume the closing speed means they will get to where we're at before my bombers get in on the attack. Meanwhile, Midway's got their dive bombers returning to base. 1 CV here. Is that really all that's left? The only aircraft carrier still spotted over here is 1 CV. Can we do... All right, let's do this. We're going to do a new float plane package here. I want to try and see what the enemy has. Float planes are slow. Max range. Hopefully they all make it back. Just want to see if we can get a better intel. They can launch pretty quick too off the cruisers using the catapults. The Midway-based planes, they lost... I don't know. They've launched a couple attacks. The last attack from Midway did put 2 bombs into a Japanese carrier, which is nice. But the Avengers are all dead. The dive bombers are mostly okay. Looks like they've actually got quite a few dive bombers down here still. I don't know if they'll launch another attack today or not. They've already launched over 2. That's a lot of dive bombers still on the deck. Maybe they're rearming. B-17s have been completely ineffective. They did have one raid that had kind of close to sitting ducks. One's sitting on the hard stand. I think the other ones are that flight that's returning. Still got a bunch of Catalinas. We've still got a good chunk of Marine dive bombers. But yeah, if we really sank all but 3 enemy, or all but 1 enemy carrier from the Kitabutai, that would be a huge success, I would say. How many more guys are you going to scramble off the... Oh, that's Hornet. She's just getting the fighters up ready. I'm confused. Are they not launching? Are they launching? Did I not order them to launch? I don't see a mission here. All right, so we'll launch the Enterprise carriers aircraft now that they're all on deck. Spotting should be done. Oh, they got to turn into the wind, though. All right, what about these boys? Are they... Formation is ready and moving toward the enemy. I assume this is the Yorktown Task Force down here. I don't think my fighters that I'm putting up in the air are going to be able to catch up at all, but we'll see. Okay, so where are we at on the map? All right, so we're getting close. I wonder if we might actually arrive before these guys get back to base. It claims it's a surface task force, but we know there's carriers there. Be nice if I could direct them onto these. I guess I probably could direct them onto those carriers in the fighter defense. If we go into the we go here, we go to fighter direction, I could probably take over from the AI and order them to charge in and attack some of these guys. Probably. Maybe. Not sure. I mean, I didn't actually order the fighters to go to the other carriers before, and they decided to do that on their own, so. God, I love the formations in this game. I love the ability to just like click in on and see large bodies of aircraft. All right. Let's get rid of some of these menu items. You can hit tab if you want to accelerate or get you a TV camera. That's not good. Hit. I just saw a bunch of planes fly around. I assume those were bad guys, but maybe we were adjusting course. It definitely looks like there's aircraft swooping in on the formation. Maybe on the torpedo bombers? Unless it's the torpedo bombers diving to the attack, I suppose it's possible. Those look like zeros to me. Yeah, they are. Fuck. Well, there's a combat air patrol. I suppose if they're going to focus on the torpedo bombers, we may still do some damage to the enemy task force, but those torpedo bombers are in trouble. Devastator 1 is going down. Look at me. I'm a Japanese Zero pilot. So one for sure has gone down. Is that a battleship down there, or that's a cruiser? As we're headed down. I suppose the positive here is we're pulling the cap down with us as we go down to attack altitude. There's a carrier down here. Maybe that's who we're going to attack if we survive. There's at least 3 zeros here. Can't imagine 9 Devastators are going to survive against 3 zeros very long. A torpedo's falling as that plane bails away, trying to survive. Just saying, tail gunner, you could do some work. All right, he has no torpedo and is damaged. I don't know if we'll get any of those guys off, but the positive could be the fact that our dive bombers may be able to make it to the attack. Oh, he's ditching. All right, the torpedo bombers might actually make their attack before, if they survive, might actually make their attack before the dive bombers. So I suppose let's watch them go in, see if they make it. There's the guy who lost his. Where are you launching your torpedoes? They did a really good job in the first few attacks of launching effective torpedo attacks, and now these guys are just like dropping parallel to the carrier. I understand you gotta lead them, but it doesn't look like the carrier is heading anywhere near where you drop those fish. Also, these guys are gonna attack the light carrier apparently, and they're getting attacked by multiple zeros. This guy's toast. Maybe. I don't know where you're turning. Are you adjusting it? Or you're coming around maybe on the fleet carrier? I thought you were attacking the. Well, just setting up another attack, giving the enemy more time to hit you. Whoa! Bombs hit. Dive bombers going in. One hit on the side of the ship. This is not Junyo, it's the fleet carrier. It's the Z. Near miss. Several near misses. Now this is the attack with 18 aircraft, so this is the smaller of the attacks, I think. So by the looks of it, did all the guys drop? So we've got a fire on the side of the enemy deck. I think that's it for the initial wave. We're still taking evasive maneuvers. I don't see any There's one. It missed, but there's a torpedo. Oh, wait, there's 2 more coming in. One of these looks like it could be good, assuming it's not a dud. Actually, then both might be good. 1 hit, detonate. 2 hits, detonate. Yeah. 2 torpedoes into the side of this carrier. I apologize to the torpedo bombers for my criticisms. Obviously, they did a good job. Good hits. Okay, so the first attack of 18 aircraft went off. We lost, looks like 2 of the torpedo bombers at least made it past the attack point in the first section. Second section made it entirely out. Third section lost 2 of 3. Dive bombers. I don't know if the enemy Zeros will try and chase him out, but the dive bombers haven't lost a plane yet. So nav strike 18. These guys are diving down to the attack. Enemy battleship. Is this a battleship? No. Enemy cruiser doing its little circles. Torpedo bombers are diving toward the carrier, which we already badly damaged. I would assume the enemy Zeros are down at low altitude, probably focusing on torpedo bombers. Remember, there's 3 carriers in this task force. The most deadly of the carriers is the one that we hit. And I assume, at least for a time, we knocked her out of action. Weren't any planes on our deck, unfortunately. Will we focus our efforts on her, or will we try and go for any of the other carriers? I suppose we shall see. I'd love to hit a fresh flat top. I'd like to obviously finish the one we put 2 torpedoes in already. But if we could knock another carrier deck out, that would go a long way to mitigating any potential follow-on strikes from that force. Do you have any indication of the enemy planes? Are they coming toward us at all? These are my fighters, which I just scrambled, which they do seem to be coming out toward the enemy Zeros or enemy bandits. Or maybe some of those are the scout planes. Not really sure. Where are these guys going? They must be going for different targets. The 2 dive bomber squadrons must be focusing on different targets. This is Junyo over here. Maybe we'll turn and attack her. Some of the torpedo bombers have been attacked by enemy aircraft, it would appear. These guys dropped their fish already. Against Junyo, it would seem. She's taking evasive maneuvers. Wasn't exactly a coordinated drop, it would seem. Alright, so we're going to try and drop on her from this direction. Are you really going to drop this far off the mark? I mean, I guess I don't know the geometry. All right, so they dropped off the other side. The enemy's trying to reverse its turn. You could see the little S of the wake. Was the dive bombers coming down on us? It's hard to follow all this, just to be clear. All right, here's one fish coming in, streaking in toward the Junyo. That one's gonna miss just behind, I think. Just missed. Guys are diving through the clouds. Again, we've got multiple sections all diving right now, so I'm not going to be able to follow all of them. This is on the Northern Task Force, yes. These guys are going against the light carrier. Interesting. She's got planes on her deck, too. There's no way this is a hit. You're too long. You should have released already, I think. I think we may have divided our focus too much. It doesn't seem like any of them are going to hit the light carrier. Well, maybe. I don't know. 3 more just dropped and missed. There's another miss, another miss. Junyo took some serious damage, though. You can see 2 big bomb hits in the center of her deck. She's listing pretty heavily, too. Thought the torpedoes missed, but again, it's hard to keep track of everything. It's possible we got a hit on her. I don't see any below deck hits. It could just be maneuvering. Well, that one looks like that could have been a torpedo hit. Wrong side of the ship for that list, but... in any event, 2 big bomb hits on the Junyo, and she's listing heavily. Certainly out of action for a time. They got the fires out on the... Tsuikaku. She is listing heavily. Remember, she has 2 torpedoes into her. I don't know if she'll sink, but that's a bad list. I think the light carrier is undamaged. It would seem the light carrier is still undamaged. So Junyo bad damage. Tsuikaku bad damage. Tsuikaku could sink, but I always think these lists look like the ship's going down, and then it never does. Certainly 2 carriers out of the fight for now. Everybody's dropped their bombs or torpedoes. Can TF-16 launch again? Are they ready? They don't have any fighters left. Yorktown has 21 dive bombers and 10 torpedo bombers, which can go. No fighters, though. So we'll get Yorktown with another strike airborne. Have we seen where my scramble's going? Still 1 CV headed away from us. Whatever happened to the 20 aircraft or so that we spotted over here? Are these guys gonna try and attack us or not? They're real low. Which makes me think they're not gonna try and attack us. They don't have their bombs anymore. Did they jettison to try and avoid my attackers? I don't know. That's strange. I suppose they could have been trying to avoid our raid. They wouldn't have known for sure that there were no carriers there, or no fighters there. All right, so Yorktown's going to start preparing for a strike. Why is she still steaming in circles? This guy seems dead in the water. She is maneuvering a little bit. Very slowly. She's making almost no speed. Very low in the water. A bad list. So we've damaged every single Japanese fleet carrier in this battle. Most of them badly. We've only seen one actually sink. That doesn't mean that more haven't. How's Yorktown's spotting going? It's already 1 o'clock. Yorktown's fighters have been wiped out, but she's getting her boys ready to go. Another strike against the enemy. Go get them, boys. What are you using flak against? Really hope those are just spotting planes. These can't all be spotters. They're not damaged though, so maybe they are spotters. It's weird to be firing flak while aircraft are taking off. Let's pray they don't have bombs. I didn't do deferred departure because frankly I'd rather they just get in and hit the enemy task force. I'm hopeful that the enemy cap will be low on ammo and fuel and that at least the 2 fleet carriers won't be able to launch anything. They could still get a handful of fighters off the light carrier. But we'll see. We know definitively that we sank, I think it was Kaga or Akagi. We crippled 2 others and at least lightly damaged another one. So the entire Kiributai is, you know, damaged. I think there's a good chance a second one of the Kiributai sank. We just didn't see it. We've only got intel on 1 still surviving carrier from the original 4, but again, we don't know. Again, they were all very badly damaged. And now we have damaged badly the Junyo in the Northern Task Force and the Tsuikaku as well. 2 torpedoes to the Tsuikaku, 1 bomb, 2 bomb hits into the Junyo, center of the flight deck. And the Shoho class is undamaged as far as we can tell. Okay. Is Midway launching any more aircraft? Looks like 20 plus. Are they more dive bombers? Yep, Midway's launching 27 more dive bombers against the enemy task force over here. I hope I don't need to go back to Enterprise and tell them to clear the deck for landing, right? I don't know if I need to tell them to clear the deck for landing, but I just did that on Hornet. For the returning flights. Yorktown attack package is on the way out. Oh, so my fighters did scramble out this way, and they're getting shot up, apparently. 2 of them ditched, Gray and Kelly. At least 3 ditched. 4 ditched. 5, 6. God damn. They really shot up my fighters, huh? 7. Well, let's just hope that we cleared away the enemy fighters from that northern task force then, if these guys are all in trouble like that. Really gotta hope we did some damage to their fighters, because if we lost that many of our own, that'll suck. "27 bombers from Yorktown on the way." Hopefully those scrambled fighters cleared out most of the enemy combat air patrol. Are these the scouts, or are these... No, apparently the torpedo bombers are like way out ahead. Okay. Junyo is dead in the water now? Well, if there was a torpedoable target, it would be the dead in the water carrier. Okay. These guys dropped. So these guys are torpedoing. Who are they going for? All right. The focus seems to be on the Tsuikaku. She is moving. Would have gone for the dead in the water carrier, but hey, that's just me. All right, those fish from the first group missed. 2 torpedoes going way past. I don't see the third, but so where are the other fish? You'd think she's not very maneuverable. Did they all miss? 2 more here. Man, my torpedo bomber's performance is so inconsistent. It's quite frustrating, really. Yorktown and enemy CVs, they're pretty close. Definitely not in naval gunfire range, but pretty close nonetheless. Alright, so the torpedo bombers all missed. Dive bombers should be getting close. They're a little bit further away, huh? Okay. Sure hope no one's turning around. We obviously see something. I see nothing. There's an enemy carrier down there. Maybe they'll turn back and make an attack. They usually go past the target and then come back around. Based on the fact that she's got a fire on her, I'm assuming that's the Junyo. The ante in this climax is palpable. Well, you know. The torpedo bombers being a disappointment is historical. You know, that is true. They also put like 5 torpedoes into the Akagi in the span of like 30 seconds in our battle the other day, which is why I had some hope. But maybe all that was is setting me up to let me down. All right, I'm assuming we're going for the Tsui, or maybe we're turning back on the Junyo. It's hard to tell. Dive bombers love the Junyo, apparently. Oh, there's the Junyo. I think. I don't know. There's still a light carrier in here somewhere. We could go for her too, I suppose. That would completely shut down their air operations. The Kitabutai already turned back. We've already won one of the major objectives. And I would assume, given the fact that not a single American carrier has taken a bomb hit, we might be winning the other objective to avoid too much damage. I would be diving on that guy. There's 3 fires on her. Did we put another bomb into her? Somewhere? I think we're going for the light carrier, given I don't see... Unless... Alright, well, whatever it is, we're diving. Let's see what it is. This game gives pilots perhaps too much vision to see through clouds. I wonder how much impact clouds have on pilot vision, or if it's some arbitrary... Who is she? Is this, look, maybe we already put 1 bomb hit into her, but this is the Tsui. This is a pretty good line. We might get a hit with this bomb. Just off the side. Come on. Oh no, it's the Junyo. I can tell by the crooked smokestack. Guys, she's not moving. Put some bombs into her. Come on. So they must have hit, another flight must have hit the Tsui then. Because she's got 3 fires on her. Junyo's definitely dead in the water, but I don't think she's going to sink. I don't think she has any hits below the waterline. Tsui now has 3 fires. That's 4 craters I can see in her flight deck for sure, plus the 2 torpedo hits. Any chance she'll sink? I mean, those aren't waterline hits. That's the problem, is your torpedo bomb. Maybe the best strategy is to hold your torpedo bombers back until your dive bombers end the enemy's ability to have flight operations, and then use them when there's no risk of them getting shot down. Whoa. Because these ships are really reluctant to sink from dive bomber damage. And I don't have enough torpedo bombers to regularly sink. I mean, she's so low in the water. That water's lapping at her lifeboat area and the stern. And yet it may not matter. I suppose if fatigue is a thing, I don't know if it is in this game. Junyo's got the fires out. She's barely moving. All right, well, honestly, the 9 fighters streaming into the enemy attack from these carriers to the north, getting themselves killed, but basically disrupting the attack and getting the enemies to drop their bombs, saved us because it prevented an attack on Yorktown that probably would have finished her off because we had no fighters there. And then it allowed the subsequent follow-on attacks to so cripple the enemy force here that I guess the show might still have aircraft they can launch, but a light carrier's not gonna do much. Any chance we got any damage in the Shoho? Probably not. She still has flight operations. Or at least she's the one carrier I still see with aircraft on her deck. It's already 2 o'clock. Enterprise has aircraft landing. Anybody have any aircraft that can launch? We launched 7 torpedo bombers from Yorktown, apparently. Enterprise is in the middle of landing operations, though, so. Did the dive bombers do any damage? They appear to be returning to base, but I didn't see if the Midway dive bombers did any damage. I've got to wait for Enterprise to get her planes back on deck. I would guess a single torpedo could finish the Tsui off right now. The problem is getting them to her. Like, these guys should be toast. I don't know if fatigue matters, troop. I don't. I know there's skill. I don't know if the game models like, hey, you're on your third flight of the day. Maybe it does. All right, Enterprise looks like her recovery operations are done, so I'm just gonna send another flight out. What else can I do? This is only a 1-day mission, so the mission ends at the end of this day, which means we don't have many flight hours left. Get her up before the next landing, I suppose. Is Yorktown recovering the last raid right now? Yeah, still landing. What about Hornet? What does Hornet have left? Does Hornet really only have the 1 plane left? They didn't all die. They haven't all landed yet? All right, this is Enterprise, I believe. Bad day to be a pilot, I guess I would say. Can I... Here's a question. Can I take any of the planes in storage here and move them into the hangars? I can. I think. Maybe? It looks like I can take these guys out of storage. I don't know if I've got crews for all these planes, but in theory I can... We may not have enough pilots. Yorktown already pulled everybody out of storage by the looks of it. Or maybe that was the first plane I did that to, or carrier I did that to. Kind of lost track to what I was clicking on. So a lot of these guys have no crew. Well, it says no crew for all of them, so if we go to the squadron chart here, Enterprise, 15 pilots, 13 aircraft, 23 pilots. So it seems like we've got more pilots than we do have aircraft. Well, maybe not for Hornet. 14 more. Can we shift some of the other pilots over? Hornet's in less good shape from a pilot aircraft standpoint. Okay. All right, Yorktown, you can do another strike. We've probably got one more strike in us before the end of the day. I'm just setting everything that'll fly. It is true though that as you lose more aircraft, that becomes easier to get strikes off faster because you've got less crowded decks. Enterprise still has a lot of aircraft, so maybe a little less true for her. But what are these guys on, like their 4th strike of the day? So it's a busy day. If fatigue was a thing, you'd probably be seeing guys crash just because they're crashing. Pretty sure Hornet already has everybody off, while Enterprise is still launching. Most of them came back. I think we lost like 7 torpedo bombers and maybe a handful of dive bombers, but most of those 58 aircraft came back. The torpedo bombers hit the target first and drew the cap down, so the dive bombers lost relatively little. This is actually going to be be a pretty big strike now that we pulled the ready aircraft out of the reserve. And actually, the Yorktown aircraft may come in pretty close to where the Enterprise aircraft come in because of the distances between the task force and the timing of when the aircraft are launching. So we'll have, you know, this will be a big combined strike here. We're going to have 35 off Yorktown, 36 off Enterprise, 5 off Hornet. So we've got 76 aircraft coming in this raid. That's not nothing. We'll see how accurate they are. The enemy is probably turning back, I assume, at this point. That's why we got the strategic objective is accomplished. I'd like to sink more. I probably can't chase down the Kitabutai, so we either got 1 or 2 of those carriers. Maybe 3. I think that's unlikely. The Northern Force, nobody's sunk yet, as far as I know, unless someone sank off screen while we were prepping these raids. I sure hope the guys find their targets. All right, this is the lead formation. If the enemy's way up here, I really hope we still spot them. Oh yeah, they spotted him. You can see when they veer off their course that they've spotted them. They're dropping down to attack altitude. They've at least spotted something, I guess, is what we should say. Please tell me we're not attacking a destroyer. Are they really diving in on this guy, whatever this is? Don't tell me they just launched torpedoes on this guy. Guys, there's got to be a carrier around here somewhere that you're just not dropping on. You're wasting torpedoes on fucking destroyers. That can't be the only thing. Might be the only thing you had the patience to see. There's a goddamn carrier right over here. I can't imagine there's any chance a torpedo will hit a destroyer. Well, we lost at least one aircraft over there. Please don't attack that destroyer, you guys. If you do, I will be very sad. If you attack that destroyer again, there's a carrier right over here. I know you might not be able to see the Shoho, but also, where do the... Maybe that's all we can see. At least attack the cruisers. Everybody's zooming in on the Fubaki. Converging here, hey? Good God. Well, I guess I can't control it. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And down they go. No, I ordered a strike on the carrier. I mean, you don't say what you... I ordered a strike on the task force. You don't say what they're supposed to attack. There's only 2 task forces. They're both carrier task forces. Whether they're identified as surface or carrier just depends on what the most recent intel is. Is that at least a cruiser? So, oh, all right. Well, maybe we'll just obliterate a destroyer. We still get points in the post-battle summary. I don't know why it's not circling. Well, the destroyer crew will at least get a bath, even if we don't get any hits. That's a remarkable job of missing. Every single hit or every single miss was so close. There's a torpedo I can see that the one torpedo bomber, actually maybe 2 torpedoes dropped. They'll miss. God damn, so close. Oh, someone got a hit. She's low in the water. I didn't see a... That's a real... Unless that's a camo pattern. Those look like... That looks like damage. I think she's sinking. Whoa! All right, well, she's gone for sure now. As the next squadron wastes its bombs. Hey, look, she's a submarine. Dive, dive, dive. Well, bad day to be on that. One-way trip to the bottom. Okay. Is there anybody left who hasn't attacked yet? These guys are all flying away. Okay, so I assume this formation's all toast. They've all dropped. Alright, so that raid is done. This raid is done. What about the other 35? Are these guys still on the way? They are. Any chance they can see a different target? I don't know. Maybe the near misses ruptured the hull. I don't know if the game... I don't know what degree the game models damage from near misses. No one made it off that. Unless they... Well, even if they jumped, the bomb hits probably killed them in the water. They were all so close. That is a loss with all hands for sure. All right, so these guys are going where? Hey, go get the Shoho. Tell me you're going for the Shoho. It looks like you're going for the Shoho. Did they already drop? I don't know what they dropped down. But at least the dive bombers should go for the Shoho. More ships detected here. Unidentified contact. Probably not a merchant. It's probably one of the other carriers. Maybe it is a cargo. Maybe it is a tender or oiler or something. Okay. These guys dropped too. They're circling. Are they returning to base maybe? They look pretty low already. That's interesting. All right, let's hope these guys at least... They're lined up for an attack. I assume they'll go for the carrier. All right. I assume this is a Shoho. They've still got those planes on the front of their... The light carrier is just too maneuverable for us to put any bombs into her. Come on, guys. Give me a hit. You can't not hit her, right? Like, you got to get at least one hit into the damn thing. Is that everybody? They all missed. They're all done. Now we got another flight. Come on, boys. You're my last chance. I can't let any of their carriers get away undamaged. These are the Yorktown planes. Well, the game does model experience differences between squadrons, so it is possible the Yorktown crews are rated poorer. I don't know that that's a fact. I'm just saying it's possible there's variation between carriers. One of the squadrons appears to never have even made it this far. I understand why if you had a low fuel situation, you would perhaps consider turning back without finding a target. But if you've got plenty of fuel to spare, which all these dive bombers do, because we are pretty close, you'd think they might... They're going to fly past it and then come back. You'd think they might consider flying past the IP, just like, hey, what if they changed course? Let's just go a little bit further. It would make sense if they had a lot greener crews on Yorktown due to the casualties at Coral Sea. What happened to the pilots from the, was it the Saratoga or the Lexington who was lost at Coral Sea? What did they do with those pilots who survived? parcel them out to other ships, I assume. Right, they're gonna miss behind. Maybe this guy has a chance. Nope. There should be a third guy. Oh, that's everybody. Damn it! Oh wait, there's 3 more. Miss. Oh my goodness, that other one looks like it was right on the water line. Oh wait, that one might have been. Do we see hull damage here? There is a hit here. Maybe there was a water line hit. I suppose it could be a bomb in the water line. What's with the little fenders they've got off the side of the ship here? What do they do? Tension arms for the arresting cables? Good to know. All right. I don't think the other enemy carriers sank. I'm assuming they just are too far away for us to see. So we got at least one destroyer. We saw one destroyer, one carrier for sure sank. A lot of damage for other ships. She's definitely got a waterline hit there, though. It might have been a dive bomber hit, actually. From one of those, it looked like a near miss, but it actually hit the side of the ship, maybe. Right on the water. And any chance a single 1,000-pounder on the waterline sinks the Shoho? That feels like that would be quite a bit of damage, but it doesn't seem to be too rough for wear. Still riding pretty high. I don't know if we can get another strike off. The planes are going to take a little while to land. None of the guys have landed yet, so we're going to probably take at least another hour to get everybody back on deck. So that might be it, because it's going to be what? 6 o'clock? 5 o'clock? 6 o'clock by the time we can do anything? Yeah, maybe we can get one more strike in. All right. I'll send the float planes off the carriers while we try to get everybody back on deck here. I wish I could, like, skip. time. I understand why maybe you wouldn't do that, just whatever, but looks like Midway. Are these guys sending another strikeout? I don't know who they're bombing. Maybe these guys? Maybe they're going for the... Oh man, the Kitty Butai or whatever's left of them, it looks like they're mostly gone. Are these my previous float planes reporting in? Yeah, so they got destroyers heading away. No sign of enemy carriers in the Kitty Butai. I'm assuming they've at least got one fleet carrier, maybe two or even three left. Hornet's got a bunch of fighters below decks, but Enterprise is retrieving aircraft. Yorktown is retrieving aircraft. Hornet only sent a few up, but more Midway strikes are on their way out. Probably one strike of dive bombers and one of B-17s. I think that's all that's left. Waiting to see if my Seagulls give us a new position on these carriers. Nothing out this way, just 4 destroyers. That should be the outbound leg, the end of the outbound leg of the seaplanes who took off a couple of hours ago. Is Hornet done? Like, I'd like more up-to-date intel than that, especially given that some of our strikes turned back last time. So maybe we'll give it another minute. We could potentially try and launch a strike from Hornet now. It claims one of the strike packages from Hornet's been recovered, even if it's only 5 or 6 dive bombers. This one of the carriers, maybe? Looks like the bulk of the Kitty Butai that's left has been spotted over here. Return leg, maybe, for the Seagulls. 1 cruiser, 2 destroyers. 1 cruiser, 3 destroyers. 11 ships. It's got to be the bulk. Oh, yeah. Well, at least 1 carrier here. It's the Kaga? It's either the Kaga or the Akagi. We sank the other one. That's all we see carrier-wise in this group. I assume that's a Congo-class battleship. 2 of them. Probably a good thing we didn't end up in a surface fight with them. I don't know that that means the other 3 for sure are sunk. They could be badly damaged and not able to make speed with the rest of the task force. All right, that's the most up-to-date intel. I want to get one more strike off before nightfall. Okay. Why wouldn't you launch further out than that? Oh, they will. Okay. And then, are the other carriers still retrieving? I think they are. Yeah, they're still... Enterprise still has aircraft landing. I just saw one hit the deck. Is Yorktown still retrieving? Yorktown might be good for another strike. Looks like Yorktown might be good. The torpedo bombers, ironically enough, percentage-wise, I think their losses are the smallest of any of the squadrons. Okay, we'll get one more off from Yorktown. It doesn't say, yeah, Enterprise still has aircraft landing. Okay. That's Kaga. I sank a Kage. Good to know. All right. So for sure, one enemy carrier survived, maybe more. This could be a trailing damaged carrier. They could just be the destroyers, though, too. They look like destroyers. They says small unidentified, but... Why are they turning? Now that I launched my strikes, why are they turning? My boys are going to miss the targets again. All right, 2 destroyers. The Midway aircraft, maybe they'll get in on the carrier task force here. Enterprise is still landing. All right. New strike. Enterprise. The losses have also been very uneven. Hornets fighters did pretty okay. Yorktown's fighters were wiped out. Enterprise kind of in the middle. So it really depends on which carrier and which group you're in. Yeah, Akagi did the... Oh, these guys turned back already. All right, so they're not going to make it there. They must not have had the range, or they had bad intel. Either way, they're returning. Returning to base. The Hornet strike of 5 is where? They're still a ways out. The Yorktown strike is still taking off. Yeah, this is the last one for the day. We'll see how it turns out. A single dive bomber and what, 4 torpedo bombers? They're not taking off. They're already in air. I can see them. Now the enemy's heading north. They're just can't make up their mind. We got lucky. I think we would have suffered much more. The key to this battle, the key that was what everything hinged on, was the enemy got, first off, we detected them first. Then the enemy they detected us, but we had a cap up which shot down their recon plane. Between the point of where the recon plane sent a report back to the carriers and where the enemy planned to strike and they launched it, but between that point and when the carrier strikes arrived, we had changed course to launch our own strike. And so we were going the opposite direction for 40 minutes or so before the enemy strike arrived based on their bad intel. And so they turned around. They never hit us. Oh my God, they're way up here? Well, we'll never detect. How was that recon that bad? So they turned around without ever hitting us with their first wave because they never found us. Meanwhile, we did not turn around. And so we didn't take any damage. Well, great. I don't think these attacks are going to get pressed home at all. because I think all our strikes were planned way too far south. So that was lucky. Yorktown tends to get hit first because she's first in line. And I mean, that was borne out with history, right? The Yorktown got smashed. But if the Yorktown gets smashed and your initial attacks don't press through, then you're in trouble. I mean, ultimately, I guess, yes, this game definitely hits home the importance of getting in the first punch. Because I don't think the AI uses its combat air patrol. Yeah, they're turning back. Or maybe not. I don't think... Shit. Pause. Who are you diving on? You already attacked? Oh. Okay. So where are the torpedo bombers? They haven't already dropped, have they? Oh, they have. That's what I get for... Ah. I don't see any torpedo wakes. It's already getting dark. Well, there's a wake. It's gonna miss probably. All right, well, that was not a good torpedo attack. Fish coming from the other direction missed going the other way, just off the bow. All right, well, the first strike of 5 did jack. Enterprise strike's just gaining altitude. Where's the Yorktown strike? All right, so we've got a torpedo bomber strike coming in on the Shoho. A good strike too. 3, 6, 9, 12 torpedo bombers. I assume they will dive down and try to hit Shoho. Unless we're going to someone else. I don't know who's over here. No, we're turning it on to Shoho. I don't like that we're going to be attacking bow on. It would be nice if we could hit her from 2 sides. Well, looks like we're going to do that. You can see these guys, one formation splitting off to the left, one going off to the right. So in theory, it's an anvil attack. I think we're going to have one arrive before the other, but an anvil attack at night, well, not quite night, but close to it, should make it much harder when you attack from both sides for her to circle around and miss. Torpedoes away. I'm not going to follow the planes banking away. Yeah, these guys are coming back around, so it didn't... in theory, the planes split the way they should have, but one group dropped too soon. Still, the enemy doesn't seem to be making much speed, so maybe she's taken enough damage that she won't be able to maneuver a well-aimed torpedo attack. We shall see. She's still turning. I think these are the fish right out here. See a faint wake. Yep. Oh, there's 4. She's trying to turn. She'll avoid some of them, I think. But we may, if these guys hit, we may get a chance to watch her sink. If a light carrier takes 3 or 4 torpedoes, assuming they all detonate. 1 hit, 2 hit. There should at least be a 3rd hit. That one missed just off the bow, but we got 1 right on the bow. 3 torpedo hits, 3 good hits. She should, yep, she's sinking rapidly. She had already taken, oh, maybe not. Her bow dipped, or her stern dipped below the waves real fast and then righted itself, but maybe it's going to sink just a little more slowly. Yeah, she's definitely going down. You can see the stern is going back beneath the waves. She's not going to quite sink like Akagi unless we get subsequent hits by another 3 torpedo bombers coming the other way, which it looks like they are showing no mercy. You see these guys, I'm assuming, already dropped and are going to fly right over the flight deck. She's already submerged a lot. I can't imagine there's any way to come back from that much water. Presumably getting into the ship. So this will at least be the second confirmed sinking that we'll witness. Maybe they'll miss, actually. I don't see any wakes yet. From those guys. But it doesn't really matter. She's going under. The flight deck is rapidly dropping below. Oh, is that a wake? She may not have enough way on her to... Just the one fish? It's gonna miss ahead of her. Thing is, when you damage a ship like that, in that way, she loses so much speed so rapidly. I'm not sure it matters. She's already half underwater. Yeah, there she goes. Oh, this is dive bombers? Or is this the planes just going off the deck? Planes do apparently float off the deck now. Not sure who these guys are going to attack now. Do we even have anything spotted? Or are they already turning around? Yeah, they turned around. I don't think we have anything spotted left on the map. I think that's it for the day. Transport way up here. Some light ships down here. I wonder if we sank the Junyo and Tsukaki. I mean, I don't think we did because the game is usually really stingy with that. And we didn't do any more damage. It didn't seem like they were sinking, just badly damaged. On the flip side of that, we haven't seen them. And we've been flying a lot of planes around the same general vicinity. So I guess we'll just go for the end time, the end date. Could that be a carrier over here? Or is this the... yeah, this is the task force we spotted before. Sailing into the sunset. I don't think there's a second day to this scenario, so I assume at least at midnight it'll end. But we can confirm at the very least 1 light carrier, 1 fleet carrier sunk, a bunch more badly damaged. There's the Enterprise strike going out. It's getting kind of dark, guys. Hey, Bake. How you doing? That was a massacre horse. Kaga's way out here. Well beyond our reach at this point. The only way we could get her is if we could chase her down. I don't think we can. I mean, they're only making 15 knots. I guess we could close at 15 knots each. We'd have to stop all air operations, but at night we could do a sprint in that direction. In theory. I'd actually like to take, while we wait on this, let's go to the missions tab. We flew a lot of missions today. Let's take a look at the different aircraft. So Yorktown flew a total of 219 sorties today out of, what do they have, 70 planes at the start of the day? 9 total missions. 1 is returning. They lost 41 aircraft, 42 crew. And, if we take a look at can we go to the squadron lineup? If we go to the squadron lineup, VB3 claimed 71 sorties, 4 air combat claims, 35 bomb hits, 5 aircraft lost. VF3 claimed 34 sorties, 17 combat claims, 25 aircraft lost. VS5, dive bomber group, 60 sorties, 4 air combat claims, 15 bomb claims, 9 aircraft lost. And the torpedo bomber squadron, 54 sorties, 3 air combat claims, 2 bomb hits. I assume those are torpedo claims. On Enterprise, we flew how many? What am I doing here? The Enterprise claimed 207 sorties, 8 missions, 25 aircraft lost. We go by the squadron layout. We've got VB6 claimed 14 bomb hits, 6 aircraft lost. VF6, the fighter squadron, claimed 70 aircraft, 13 aircraft lost, no bomb hits for the fighters. VS6 claimed 24 bomb hits, 2 aircraft shot down, no aircraft lost. Good day to be in VF6. VT6, 43 sorties, 3 bomb hits, 6 aircraft loss. For the Hornet, 27 sorties for VF8, 78 air combat claims, 6 aircraft lost. VB8, 18 sorties, 18 aircraft lost. This squadron was basically wiped out in one mission. VS8, 25 sorties, 16 aircraft lost. Do not be in a dive bomber squadron on the Hornet. They took the brunt of that first assault through the enemy cap. Torpedo bombers, just don't be on the Hornet at all. Torpedo bombers also lost 11 aircraft with 1 claimed hit and 31 sorties. So yeah, everybody pretty much except for the fighters got eviscerated on the Hornet. But so Hornet claimed 101 sorties. So all told, between the 3 carriers, over 500 sorties in a single day. That's a lot of flying, a lot of bombs dropped. We're going to wait till midnight here. We don't know, Monolith. We'll know in a minute I assume when we hit midnight, the scenario will end. I'd at least like to get my planes back, although it's a nighttime landing, boys. Turn on your searchlights. I guess they've at least got a horizon still. The game, I have not noticed the game having considerable casualties for nighttime ops. You generally can't launch a strike at night, but planes can return at night. I don't know if I sank the Tsuikaku. The Shokaku was not in this. The Junyo, the Shokaku, and the Shoho, which again, the Shoho should have been sunk at Coral Sea. So I don't know if this is like Coral Sea didn't happen. I don't know if it's a sister ship. Not really sure. It's an alt history scenario, so. But we will wait till midnight here. I should be able to do faster time compression here now that it's slowing down. Where did TF-16 end up? Are the two TFs together? No. Okay. Well, at least we're not sailing into enemy surface warships without my knowledge. Hopefully. Yeah, the only recon we have is of one carrier out this way. We've got recon planes that have been crisscrossing the sky. You would think if there were more than just the one carrier surviving, we would have spotted them. But sometimes it seems like enemy carriers go invisible. I don't know if they duck behind a cloud or what, but sometimes this game definitely tells you like, hey, these planes are actually not around. I should probably get rid of that War on the Pacific tag in my Twitch chatbot thing. Given I haven't been playing War on the Pacific for like several months, and that series we've been running is over, at least unless my opponent miraculously returns at some point, which would be great, but I don't think is likely. Although we could always start a new series. I have had inquiries. I think I'd be more likely to try and give War in Spain a try. I don't know that I have the energy to go through the December 7th to 25th period in that game as the Allies. It's a little tedious. It really sucks that most games end before you really get into the heart of the war. And I know a lot of players, you're playing as Japan, you lose your carriers or whatever, you lose the initiative. That's a tough selling point as a game to keep going. But as someone who plays the Allies, it's like, well, we can finally do something. That's, to be clear, not why our game ended. We didn't get to that point, but. All right. So I don't understand why the game has such rapid time compression options if it basically never lets you use them. Maybe it's just like if you got aircraft in the sky more than 10 times scale is just not likely to be reasonable, but right? Seagulls still, they got some, no, 1 hour, 8 minutes ago. Okay. So Midway has shut down its air operations for the day. I think I'm recovering float planes at this point. All right, just a few more hours, and we will see the results of the battle. While you guys wait, I'm going to kill the pre-rolls with a short ad. Sorry, guys. Burner, burn, burn, burner, burner. Yeah, Monolith. The thing with Silent Hunter is when you weren't actually fighting, when you were moving in open ocean, you could use 200 time compression or 5. I've used 200, I think, maybe not 500. It's been a long time since I played Silent Hunter 3, but I do remember like you could use really rapid time compression. Streaming cuts your accelerated time. I don't think it has any impact. I would assume if I told the game to do something like I'm looking at my CPU load right now. It's at 25% load. The GPU is fine. We're just looking at a map. I don't think streaming has any impact on time scale. We can get it up to kind of holding it a little bit around 20 here. But yeah, I'm just trying to get to the end of the scenario, which I assume is at midnight. If we get a second day's fighting, great. I mean, the Yorktown is kind of sprinting north. I guess we could have her go this direction to try and really charge her in toward the enemy carriers all by herself with no fighter cover. Enterprise is still recovering aircraft by the looks of it. Somehow, I don't know if nighttime ops just slow everything down. Let's make sure they're not all sinking. They're not all being lost. Well, it looks like they're just search aircraft, a handful of float planes, maybe. Yeah, everybody looks... she's still recovering aircraft. It's taking you a while, but you're still getting them back on board. They got to almost be done. Enterprise's planes lived a charmed life. You can look at the hangars. You see Hornet, much less. Look at all these casualties. There's nobody left in storage. Don't even need to put anyone on the deck if you don't want to. I can just clear the deck, put everybody in the hangars. I prefer guys to be in the hangars if they don't need to be on the deck. It's not an option for Enterprise. Can you put someone into storage? Oh, you could in theory. I don't know, you probably don't want to, but in theory you could put them into storage. Clear as many of them off. There's 10 aircraft on the deck on the Yorktown. Looks like we just barely fit all of them. Oh, I'm causing chaos now. They're like, oh, we're stuck. Oh, we're stuck. That's a little bit of a bug. All right, whatever. Don't throw anyone overboard, please. You can't get them out of the way. There's a little congestion there. All right, I'm sure this is the most entertaining streaming possible. All right. Can we get to times 40? Times 20, kind of. You do still watch, so I get watcher credit. All right, cool. By the way, Suffix, thank you for the resub there. I don't know why I don't... Did the alert trigger and I just didn't see it? Maybe it did. Is Task Force Admiral worth it? If you're debating if it's worth it, it's early access. They've got 5 battles. I enjoy it. Obviously, I've been streaming it quite a bit. I hesitate to tell people what their money is worth. I'm not usually one of those I review it so you don't have to, so you don't have to make a decision. I don't usually make buy, sell recommendations. I've enjoyed it. I think if you're not sure if it's worth it, you can always wait. There's going to be a ton of scenarios eventually, but I don't know how quickly they're going to ramp up. They've said there are going to be, I think, 2 more scenarios coming for the early war. Some of the early raids will be coming up soon. I think I saw an update for that. But right now it's 2 Coral Sea battles and 3 Midway battles. 2 of the Midway battles are alternate history. I would like to see a little bit more variety in how the battles unfold. It seems Coral Sea and Midway, I guess maybe that's just the truth of carrier operations in this era, feel a little samey. I wonder, are they going to let you attack land targets with the raids in 41 when you're not fighting other enemy carriers? Or are you just going to be attacking ships in port? I'm not really sure. Right? Because they raided, was it the Marshalls in 41? But I'd be curious to see what those are going to be like. They feel like they could be very different because I would assume in those scenarios, unless they're real alt, which presumably they'll have some alt history there too of a Japanese carrier showed up and now you're screwed. But I would assume those are not going to be, strictly speaking, high risk operations. Maybe for your air crews, but not for your carriers. Maybe add subs. I don't know that the game has subs, but theoretically, sure. They were the biggest threat to the American carriers, it would seem, in 42, right? Was it Saratoga or Lexington? One of them was finished off by a sub. I think Hornet was finished off by a sub. Or was that Wasp? I don't know. But lost by a sub. Is that what got Fletcher sacked, or was that Hornet taking in one and being damaged? I know. Didn't Fletcher get basically removed from frontline carrier ops after one of his carriers got torpedoed after the Eastern Solomons, I think it was? I always felt bad for Fletcher. I always feel like, I mean, he was like the pivotal senior admiral in so many of the important battles early in the war, and he always gets overshadowed by Spruance and Halsey. I know he wasn't the most prototypical aggressive commander. He gets a lot of shit for withdrawing at Guadalcanal, but I do think he's a more important figure and certainly competent in the Second World War, and gets so vastly overlooked. Saratoga just loved to find single torpedoes so they could hang out on the West Coast. Nice. You know, come on. Can I just jump ahead a few hours? I'm sure this makes for great streaming content. Yeah, he went to the North Pacific because it was basically, wasn't it, Admiral King didn't like him effectively? And I think after, was it Saratoga or whatever, whoever was torpedoed, Nimitz was like, all right, I can't cover for him anymore. S tier stream. I just want to get to the official ending. I always debrief early. I don't know that it makes a difference in the results, but I would like to get to the actual end of the episode of the stream, which I think will trigger at midnight. If it doesn't, we'll end the stream anyway. We've only got 3 more hours to go. So what is that at times 10? That would be, I don't even know. I can't do freaking math. But even like Spruance gets shit on by like the Halsey fanboys or whatever for his decision to be a little bit more responsible with the carriers in the Marianas campaign, right? But then like Halsey, you know, did charge headlong into multiple typhoons that did more damage to the American fleet at that point of the war than anything the Japanese were throwing at him. I believe that Spruance was and I don't think this is a controversial opinion anymore. Might have been more so in the 40s. To me, Spruance is the standout admiral of the war. Not as sexy, but operationally, probably without a doubt, operationally the soundest admiral. He should have ended as a fleet admiral, but the soundest of the admirals in the Pacific at an operational level. Intelligently aggressive without being reckless. Spruance followed orders, same as Halsey at Leyte. I will give Halsey credit in the Guadalcanal campaign. I think he did a tremendous job of turning around sort of the situation at headquarters when he came in and took over from, was it Gromley or whoever, who kind of lost his I don't know if nerve is the right term, but he certainly was struggling. But it's just pretty impressive for a guy like Fletcher to just get completely washed. Is there a nighttime spotting aircraft? Oh, that's a B-7. No, what is this? Fletcher just gets completely washed from the history in so many ways. It's like he's a footnote. Like his name shows up everywhere in the early war stuff because he's so involved, and it's just always like, oh yeah, Fletcher. Look at Fletcher. Yeah. And then maybe some of the Solomons or Eastern Solomons or whatever campaign, it's a little bit more critical of him directly. But your conclusions were all wrong. Halsey acted recklessly. Goddamn right he did. Or foolishly, whatever. Yeah, I think that's true of a lot of guys. Like maybe Patton had a better staff. Halsey and Patton are sort of the same ilk, but Spruance definitely. When and maybe this is just like when you get into a scenario where you're commanding fleets of 100 ships instead of like 20. You know, maybe Halsey was better for 1941 when they were doing like ballsy raids into the Marshalls or something, and you needed someone who's just going to go for it. Like, but you only had like 10 ships to manage. Maybe that's where Halsey like shines. But now you've got 100 ship task force you've got to manage, and that's maybe beyond his level of expertise. It kind of reminds me of I was listening to what's his name? He wrote a two like 40-hour long histories in audiobook form of the campaign of Antietam in the Civil War. And oh my God, it's gonna drive me crazy. What, I have to look this up. Sorry, one sec. Hartwig, who is like in a ton of 90s history, like History Channel stuff. He's like a good historian though, not like a pop historian, I think. He's recently written 2 books on the Antietam campaign. One, everything up to the Battle of Antietam, so like the Maryland campaign up to Antietam, and then one that's like the Battle of Antietam, and then perhaps the retreat. I haven't finished the second one yet. And they're both long books, and in the intro he's like, these are long books. They go into minute detail from like every single unit. Very good, I think. Recently came out. But yeah, Dr. Hartwig. And in one of those books, he's kind of talking, and I know this isn't like unique to him. I haven't heard it from other historians, but I'm sure this is not like, oh my goodness, no one ever thought of this before. But he's talking about the staff work and how Civil War armies grew so rapidly that, you know, the U.S. Army in the Spanish, the Mexican-American War, armies were commanded with like, you know, you might have like a dozen staffers and the general in charge. And then obviously you have the unit commanders, but the actual staff managing all the details, all the paperwork was like a dozen guys. It's small. And then you go to the Civil War, and early in the war, that kind of understanding of what the headquarters staff should look like kind of holds up. You know, you're talking 20,000 man armies, 30,000 man armies. It's kind of pushing it, but it still kind of gets the job done. But by the time you get into like 62 and you're talking like 120,000 men, that really starts to break down. You have a few exemplary sort of exceptions. But that really, and I think it sort of talks about how the Army of Northern Virginia under Lee, like Lee was able to get away with a really light staff when he had Longstreet and Jackson, because Longstreet especially had tremendous staffs that, you know, took a lot of the burden off the headquarters because the corps commander staff sort of augmented it. But like that was, and McClellan, you know, sometimes gets criticized for maybe having a larger staff, but like that army was huge. But you really start to see it break down in late 62 when like the armies are just too big, too complex for a small staff. And going back to World War II, I kind of feel like maybe Halsey is that example of a guy who gets away with sloppy staff work early in the war because the fleets are small. It's less complex. But as you start to see the American Navy grow rapidly, you start to see Halsey run into 1 typhoon, 2 typhoons. You see him charge off headlong, like, not even, you know, I know Leyte Gulf's been written about a lot, and I'm not going to pretend to know all the ins and outs, but like, you know, Leyte Gulf happens, landing beaches get left uncovered. You start to see stuff like that happen. That never happens to Spruance. Spruance is much better from an operational point of view, and that often gets, you know, histories don't like that. Histories don't like guys who are just like, I got the best staff. Everyone's doing great. We're confident. We're not sexy. We're not doing wild shit. We're getting the job done. At least in the moment, the papers like the guys who are off doing the crazy shit. But I do think that maybe the fleet grew beyond Halsey's level of competence. Maybe he was a competent task force or fleet commander when you're talking 10 to 20 ships. But when you triple or quadruple that size, well, now he's in a situation where he's just not set up to succeed. Dudov, I know those were his orders if he got the chance. I'm assuming that did not mean leave your landing forces uncovered. Yeah, I mean, maybe that is a Prussian thing. Right? The Germans are always great at the tactical warfare and not so much the at least the strategic level of stuff in the 20th century. Well, I forget what the Peter principle, is that like where you basically, the theory is, and this is true in business too, everybody gets promoted to the point where they're incompetent, basically. You're good at your job, you do a good job, you get promoted, and then you get promoted into a position where now you've been promoted to a level of which you are no longer suited, right? Like nobody stops. I mean, this isn't true because corporate politics means a lot of people stop, and same for military politics, which are no less catty than high school cliques. But nobody's like, I'm good. You know, maybe some engineers and like coding or whatever do, because there's businesses have adopted sort of a 2-tier promotion approach because they realize, hey, a lot of programmers don't want to be developers. So maybe we should like keep allowing them to get promoted into positions that pay them more, but don't give them direct headcount. But that is born out of the fact that people get promoted to the point where they are no longer good at their jobs. And that's true of the military. That's true of, you see that all the time in the Civil War, where like a great brigade commander is a horrible division commander. I think John Bell Hood is a great example in the American Civil War of like, he was a really good division commander. Point him at something, give him an objective, tell him to hit it and to take it. He was a okay corps commander when he had someone who knew his limitations, like Longstreet. Well, that wasn't corps command, that was division command, so never mind. Probably wasn't a great corps commander. Disastrously bad army commander. Like, there's just people who are that's the true of most people. There's a limit at which you top out of your level of expertise. All right. Does it end now? No, it didn't end. All right. Well, we're going to end it now. I'm glad I made you guys all sit and watch for 20 minutes.
Midway stands. As the courageous island licks its wounds, the latest tallies report an outstanding victory for U.S. forces. Navy, Marine, and Army airmen have struck a crushing blow against the enemy armada, shattering its recent streak of bloody successes. The great sacrifices of American warriors have not been in vain. For this dramatic turning point will surely be recorded in the history books for generations to come. With the Japanese Navy broken and in retreat, High Command is already shaping new plans to restore Allied superiority in the Pacific. Many trials still lie ahead, but spirits are high and confidence is strong. At Midway, Japan's imperial ambitions met their doom, and the enemy's final downfall has begun.
You're not, Gustav? I generally dual stream on YouTube and Twitch now. Okay, so a strategic victory and a tactical victory. I feel like that is the highest score the game lets you have. But that video was definitely more positive than I've seen in the past. Midway stands, and so does the U.S. Navy, proudly so. Although the battle began under uncertain circumstances, the valiant crews flying from Midway and our carriers prevailed in a clash that has now turned the tide in the Pacific. The enemy's sword, it was irreparably blunted, should have been shattered. I'm assuming that means that most of the enemy carriers survived by this reversal of fortune, and our outstanding victory is giving hope to the Allied forces around the world. We've defied fate, and the near future now smiles upon us, yet Tokyo remains far off. It is now up to us to lead a new offensive in the South Pacific, thanks to you and your men. So, force the enemy to retire. Success, twice. Oh, wow. Okay, so Akagi, destroyed, sunk. Hiryu, sunk. Soryu, sunk. Suikaku, sunk. Junyo, sunk. I'm assuming this is the destroyer. Sazami, destroyed. Zuiho, destroyed. Kaga, damaged. So only one of the Japanese carriers made it out. So that's a tally of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fleet carriers and 1 light carrier. Wow. Hell yeah, brother. 130 Zeros destroyed, 118 Kates destroyed, 110 Vals destroyed, 10 Jakes destroyed. So a total of 368 aircraft lost for them. Meanwhile, the Americans lost 6 B-17Es, didn't see any of that, 4 B-26s, 21 F-2A3 Buffaloes. Buffalo gets shattered in this game no matter what. That's historically accurate. 6 F-4F Wildcats, 44 F-4F4s, which are the carrier-based Wildcats. The F-3s were based off of Midway. 6 PBY Catalinas, 2 SB-2U Vindicators, I think. 56 SBD-3 Dauntlesses, 16 SOC-1 Seagulls, 20 TBD-1 Devastators, 6 TBF-1C Avengers. So what, 368 aircraft or so for the enemy. Meanwhile, we lost 10, 31, 37, 41, 81, 87. I'm doing math here. 89 live on stream, so I apologize if you got anything wrong. 145, 51, 61, 181. So what, 187 aircraft lost to the enemy, 368. I'll take that. 8,166 points. That's a pretty high bar. Most of the aircraft lost were AI. I mean, I don't fly the aircraft in this generally, but let's see. Midway. The 44 were my carriers. The 56 were my carriers. And the 20 were my carriers. So of my aircraft that I commanded the SOCs. I commanded the Devastators. So that's 36, 86, 92. So I lost like 130 aircraft in my carrier group. So still pretty heavy. I lost the majority of aircraft, not by type, but by number. But yeah, this is a devastating defeat. One Japanese carrier made it out, which I guess is, the Kaga didn't historically make it out, but the Junyo didn't even historically participate. The Suikaku didn't either. So Japan lost one more fleet carrier than they did at Midway historically. They lost 5 instead of 4, and they also lost 1 damaged. So much worse Midway for them. They're going to have a lot harder. I wonder if they even tried the Guadalcanal operation after all these losses. I don't know. But that was a war-winning type battle right there. Goddamn right, privacy policy. Okay, well, I think that's going to do it for tonight. We've been going for about 2 hours. I got to work tomorrow, and that's the last scenario I've got here to play. We'll see what we do, when the next update comes. I do think the next update they mentioned there were going to be a couple of scenarios in the early battles. Most of these are hypothetical. But I'm curious, so the Doolittle raid, what do you do there? If it's historical, do you just get your bombers off? What do you do there? I don't know. So yeah, I guess Turkey shoot off Bougainville. Who's Turkey shoot? but yeah, I'm assuming some of these are the raids on in the Marshalls and other places, the early war scenarios. I don't know. Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for today. Yeah, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, do all that jazz. Twitching slightly, thank you for the follow. Suffix again, thank you for the resub on Twitch. And yeah, until next time, guys, that's gonna do it for me. This is the Historical Gamer once again saying thank you very much for watching, and until next time, we're out. In terms of next stream, probably might be. I've got the DLC that's coming out for Burden of Command, so maybe we'll take a look at that this week at some point. I think it comes out on the 24th, so shortly. But yeah, we could take a look at that in our next stream. But that'll be for next time. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer once again saying thank you very much for watching. And until next time, I'm out.